And I always think back, we use role models and we say about role models. And I think sometimes the mistake we make is try to be like that role model rather than learning for ourselves how that role model can help us be our best self. And that's something that I've taken with me and built a culture around in this company. Now we talk all the time. When you're joining us, we're looking for you to be your best self. And that is irrespective of what background you come from or anything. It is about you bringing your best self to the job, because then you'll enjoy the job. And that is, I promise, 100% the way it needs to be if you're going to be able to have a long career, a good career. Work's too much part of your life not to enjoy it. I'm Tim Webster. I am a Vice President of Human Resources for an industrial technology company, and I'm based in Sweden. Give you an idea of the company, we have about approximately 900 people working for us across many different disciplines, the normal ones, but a lot of people in software engineering. And the company has locations stretching from Taiwan, Shanghai, all the way through Europe, and then into the US. And my responsibility in HR is basically globally all of that. But I will add that I have some very, very good people working for me. This is not me working 24 hours a day. So I'm born and bred in a little village just outside Derby. No one will have heard of it. It's called Wirksworth. I went to school in the local area, traditional schooling in a sense. School was a little bit different though, because it was a bit of a experimental school in a sense that it was designed to be more informal and age groups integrated to different streams. Did the standard education in my day, that was O levels and A levels. I know that's all changed now. Through school, it was interesting because I'd never thought about anything further than that. I kind of just kept doing the exams because probably I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I remember being told that I could actually go to university, which was an amazing light bulb moment for me because nobody in my field of role models or anybody went to university, and I was really surprised. So I kind of thought, well, I still don't know what I want to do. I'll go and give that a try. Applied to go to university and literally got in and did all of the university degree. I must say I probably focused more on the social life than the academic learning, but I think that probably really informed my background of what I do today working with people, because it exposed me to a wide variety of people at university. Probably the big shock was I thought I was quite clever when I looked at my school cohort. When I got to university, I realized there was probably 1,000 other people that were cleverer than me. So that was a bit of a shock and probably a calibration on what I was able to do, but it shouldn't put you off. You need to keep pushing forward. I started out believing that I wanted to have something with accountancy. And this was probably more one of those, it's a good job, steady, secure, all that kind of thinking. What I realized after 1 year of accounting, and forgive all the people who go into finance here, but it was quite boring and it really didn't fit me. It was not me. So after 1 year, I decided that I wouldn't do that. I want to do something else, and found that industrial relations was something I got interested in. And then international industrial relations. At the same time, I was doing economics, so I have a dual qualification. Upon coming out, it was one of those situations where I'd actually started to decide I want to work in HR, or personnel, as it was called in those days. But at 21, nobody in the larger companies believes that a 21-year-old can contribute to HR. And they kept asking me, did I want to be a systems analyst? Did I want to do this? But I stuck to my guns and left university with no job and took a 10-week temporary admin role in a personnel department with the sole goal of proving to that company that they were going to need me and I was really good at this. So that's actually what I did. And within that 10 weeks, or after that 10 weeks, I got my first role in that company, which was a huge leap because I became what's called a works personnel officer for 1,000 people. And to say that I was naive and I really was this person out of university, I was working with union guys and guys that have been in business for a long time, guys have been working on shop floor for a long time, all these people knew more than me. So it was a rapid learning curve. And I was just like a sponge. I just needed to learn as fast as I could to become relevant. But obviously something went well. And then basically I started to get bigger and bigger opportunities doing relocation work with HR and things like that. This carried on for quite some time. And then I'd moved around in the UK. I was at this point in the northeast of England, in Durham. Fantastic part of the world. Again, absolutely fantastic people. Learned a huge amount. Learned a lot from everybody. I mean, this is something that I think is the red thread through my career, is that I always feel that everybody I meet, I'm going to learn something from. It's not about me teaching them. It's about me learning from them. And that company got bought by a Swedish company. And this was probably the switch point. Part of me had always wanted to work outside of the UK. I'll be fair. You heard I was in Sweden. Sweden was not in the top 10. Probably not. I was thinking somewhere warmer and maybe a better climate than you got in the UK. First choice, I think, I'm a big fan of skiing and mountains. So somehow getting myself to Italy, northern Italy, Spain maybe, because the weather's a bit better. I mean, many places than Sweden. Sweden was, I didn't know anything about Sweden at all. But I kind of liked the people that I met. And I thought, actually, I could see myself working with these people to scale the move. In the UK, I was working with 300. The role in Sweden was 6,000. In the UK, I was working with 4 countries, and this became 47 countries. I kind of thought, okay, let's go for it. What can go wrong? And this is, again, a little bit how I've tried to build my career. I believe in taking opportunities, and if it doesn't work, then change that. But don't start by sitting there, be this person, I could have done, I should have done, I regret this. Just go for it. And if it doesn't work, change it. You've got the ability. So I made the decision to go to Sweden. And I think one of the apocryphal moments that still sticks in my mind was the day that my belongings from my house in the UK were put into a vehicle to transfer to Sweden. I remember sitting on the wall outside and having a huge crisis of confidence, to the point where crazy ideas come into your head. And I even thought about ringing my boss and saying, I developed a phobia of flying. I'm sorry, I can't come over. Because suddenly everything became super scary in my head. But then, deep breath, as they always say. And I thought, well, most of my fears are based on the unknown. And I think it's better to go and find out before I go, no, I can't do this. So that was back in 2001. Came over to Sweden. I've been here 22 years. I absolutely love being here. I love doing what I do. I absolutely have grown as a person. I've been exposed to so many different cultures, people, diversity of thinking, experiences around the world, traveling internationally for the last 22 years, working in places I probably would never have thought I could get a chance to work. And constantly with that theme that I work with people. This is this actual central thing. HR is, for a lot of people, policies and procedures. For me, it's not. It has the word human in the title. And that's what you always need to think about. It doesn't have the title policy, procedure, resources. So always think it's the person. So upon coming to Sweden, I built a perception of what I needed to do. And part of that perception was I need to fit in. I've been one type of person working in one culture, and now I need to fit into a new culture, which, let's just call it the Swedish culture for this moment in time. So after about 2 years of doing this, and I could not work out why I was so tired. All my colleagues were working in English. It wasn't a language problem. They were really nice with me. They tried everything. They did all these things, but somewhere along the line, I was exhausted. And I actually was going to quit. And as I said earlier, you need to go and find out if it works. If not, change it. And I thought, I need to change this. It's not working for me. My boss at the time would not accept my resignation. He actually told me to go and have a discussion with a consultant, a really clever guy who I absolutely loved working with. Very, very wise, I think would be a good word for this person. And I went and sat with this guy. And I actually remember where it was, and I'll share it exactly how it was. I was sitting on the edge by the sea. I had a can of beer. He had a can of beer. We're having a very informal discussion. The sun was going down. All the moments are right. This is why I can remember it. And basically, I said, I'm going to quit. It's not working. He said, Tim, Here's the problem. You are trying to be something else, a Swede or whatever you think you need to be, and not yourself. We asked you to come over to run the company in Sweden because of who you were, not because of who we wanted to make you. And I honestly look back on that and think, why did I not see that? Why did it take someone else? But that's exactly what I was doing. And from that moment on, I've always gone down the line now. I want to be my best self. I need to be me. And what I learn as a leader, this helps you with the consistency, the believability, the credibility, the honesty, the transparency, all the things people value in a leader, whether that's a formal or an informal, because you're not wasting energy on acting on stage or whatever it is that sometimes people think. And I always think back, we use role models and we say about role models. And I think sometimes the mistake we make is try to be like that role model rather than learning for ourselves how that role model can help us be our best self. And that's something that I've taken with me and built a culture around in this company. Now we talk all the time. When you're joining us, we're looking for you to be your best self. And that is irrespective of what background you come from or anything. It is about you bringing your best self to the job, because then you'll enjoy the job. And that is, I promise, 100% the way it needs to be if you're going to be able to have a long career, a good career. Work's too much part of your life not to enjoy it. When I first came into this particular company here now, I was the first non-Scandinavian to join the company. I suppose by then I'd grown in confidence a little bit, as the story I'd said. I think one of the tricks is to really to know yourself. The start point of being a good leader is to really know yourself, know your moral code, your ethics, what your best attributes are and things like that. Because it gives you that solidity to stand on. It means that when it gets windy, you don't blow over in the wind because you've got that within you. And then I'm always very open in sharing my story with everybody here. And sometimes I use that cultural difference to not hit somebody or push somebody with it, but maybe just broaden their mind as well. And then promoting curiosity, both from me. So if I show I'm curious, the other person will be curious to find out about me, not just the generality of what it means to be a Brit, for example. So I think they are some of the things that I've done. And then not everybody does this, but part of my personality is I use humor. Because if you can get people to laugh with you about things, about how I see Sweden, and so how as a Brit I'm experiencing things in Sweden and asking those questions, not to be right and wrong, but to get the conversation around the difference that I feel compared to them feeling, and talk difference rather than right or wrong. I think if the conversation sticks, people learning you from a right or wrong basis rather than accepting it from a difference basis, it's a bad conversation, because then you get put into a pigeonhole. So I think always celebrate. I think celebrating difference. My experience around the world, and I mentioned I work internationally, I think just celebrating that difference is just fabulous, and trying to encourage people to be there and do that. It is coming back to, though, the self-confidence question. I can understand that, but trust yourself. I think trust yourself. When you know yourself, trust yourself. And then I suppose the final bit, I still see myself as work in progress. I'm still learning about myself. I'm learning every single day because the world keeps changing. I need to adapt. But I have that central core that helps me to move and navigate that.